Think back to when you were a kid for a second. Ever have something happen that was just so completely unfair it changed how you saw everything? Well, sometimes the biggest seeds of rebellion get planted when we're at our most vulnerable. And that's exactly what we're going to dig into today. Two incredible stories where one single childhood memory changed it all.
So, let's meet the two remarkable women at the heart of our story. On one hand, we have Zitkala Sa, a Native American woman born way back in 1876. And on the other, Bama, a Tamil Dalit writer from India, born in 1958. I mean, they lived in totally different worlds, separated by almost a century. But as you're about to see, they were connected by this deep, shared fight for dignity. We're going to journey right into these autobiographical moments from their lives. We'll see how one single, searing memory from childhood can actually become the thing that defines your entire future and fuels a lifelong fight against oppression.
Okay, first up, let's meet Zitkala Sa. Her given name was Gertrude Simmons Bonin, and she was this incredibly gifted writer growing up in a time when prejudice against Native American culture was just rampant. She became a fierce critic of places like the Carlisle Indian School and basically dedicated her whole life to fighting the kind of oppression she knew firsthand.
And now, let's turn to Bama. She's a Tamil Dalit writer, and her autobiography, Karuku, is this incredibly powerful look at what it's like to grow up inside the Indian caste system. Her writing it holds nothing back. It explores the deep humiliation and injustice of being considered untouchable.
So to really get the impact of what happened to them, we've got to put ourselves in their shoes. We need to see what life was like for these two little girls right before everything changed.
For little Zitkala Sa, her first day at the Carlisle School was a complete sensory overload. Just try to imagine it. It's bitter cold. There's this loud metallic bell just shattering the silence. You hear the constant clatter of strange shoes on the floor, and all around you is the murmur of a language you don't understand at all. She called it a bedlam, a total chaos where her spirit felt completely trapped.
Now, Bama's world, it was the complete opposite. It was this vibrant, chaotic, fascinating place. Her 10-minute walk home from school could easily turn into an hour because she'd just get lost in all the sights and sounds. A performing monkey over here, a snake charmer there, the smell of fried snacks, the temple bell ringing. Her world was just bursting with life.
So you have these two totally different worlds, right? But in each one, these girls were about to face a moment of just profound humiliation. A single event that would shatter their innocence and change how they saw the world forever.
For Zitkala Sa, it all started with a whispered warning from her friend, Judawin. They were going to cut their hair. And you have to understand, this wasn't just a haircut. In her culture, short hair was a mark of absolute shame. It was worn by cowards or by people in mourning. So this was a direct attack on her identity.
In her reaction, it was immediate. It was fierce, no hesitation at all. No, I will not submit. I will struggle first. You can just feel the fire in those words, right? She was not going to let them just strip away her culture without one heck of a fight. This is that first spark.
But she was just a little girl. Her struggle was, in the end, futile. She hid under a bed, but they found her. They dragged her out, kicking and scratching, and tied her to a chair. She talks about feeling the cold blades of the scissors against her neck, literally gnawing off her braids. And in that moment, she says her spirit just broke. She felt like she wasn't a person anymore, just one of many little animals driven by a herder.
All right, now let's shift over to Bama's story. Her defining moment didn't start with fear. It actually started with something she thought was hilarious. She saw this elder from her street carrying a small food packet in the strangest way, holding it way out by the string, making sure it didn't touch him. The sight was so ridiculous, she said she wanted to just shriek with laughter.
But when she got home and told her older brother Annan about this funny thing she saw, he didn't laugh. Not at all. He explained the crushing reality behind it. The man was from an upper caste, and he believed that if he touched something that had been held by someone from their community, a Dalit community, he would become polluted. That's the brutal reality of untouchability.
And just like that, the laughter died in her throat. First, it was replaced by this terrible sadness, and then by a burning anger. She was just so provoked and furious that her people, that she, could be seen as so unclean that even a food packet they touched was considered dirty.
These moments of humiliation, they could have broken these girls, but they didn't. Instead, they planted the seeds of a lifelong rebellion. But the way each of them decided to fight back,
Well, that was shaped by their own unique situations.
For Zitkallah Saw, the reaction was all physical, all action. She didn't just sit there and take it. No, she made a plan. She hid, and when they found her, she fought with everything she had in her little body, kicking and scratching wildly. It was this desperate, raw struggle just to hold on to who she was.
Now, Bema's path to resistance, it was different. It came from this amazing advice from her brother Anan. He laid it out for her. He said, look, because of who we are, people try to strip away our dignity. But, and this is the game changer, he told her that education was their weapon. If we study and make progress, we can throw away these indignities.
And Bama, she took those words to heart and turned all that anger into fuel. She didn't just study, she studied, in her own words, in a frenzy almost, with every single breath and ounce of her being. She channeled her rebellion into school, into being the best, and she became first in her class. That was her fight.
So what we have here are two women, two very different kinds of injustice, and two very different ways of resisting. But when you get to the core of both of their stories, you find one powerful, universal idea: the fight for the simple recognition that you are human.
This table really breaks it down perfectly. For Zitkallah Saw, you have this forced cultural assimilation, and the symbol is the cutting of her hair. Her reaction is this immediate physical struggle, which leads to a life of activism. Then you have Bama. The injustice is caste-based discrimination, symbolized by that untouched food packet. Her reaction is this emotional awakening, this anger, that she channels into her resistance, education.
In the end, it all comes down to this one simple, profound statement from Bema. A statement that you can hear echoing all through Zitkallah Saw's story too. It's the cry of anyone who has ever been pushed to the margins, who has been made to feel less than. It's the most fundamental demand there is, a demand for dignity.
And that kind of leaves us with a big question to think about, doesn't it? These stories show us how the fight against injustice can start so young. It really makes you wonder, what moments from our own past, whether they were big or small, taught us to stand up for what's right? How do those early wounds end up shaping a lifetime of resistance?